Hey, what's going on, guys? So I'm super excited to show you this brand new metric that Surfer just put out. So I do think this is going to be one of the best metrics for not only qualifying your keywords, but also helping you create really great content that will actually rank on the first page of Google. And so I am super excited about this metric they just put out. In fact, as you probably know, I'm really excited about Surfer in general, but in particular, this new metric is really going to be a game changer. So real quickly, I just want to show you what it's all about, and then I'll give you some practical examples of how you can use it. So you can get access to this content score to try it out even as a trial user, so definitely worth trying just to see if it's something that could be valuable in your particular situation. So basically what it does is it scores each individual page on a scale of 0 to 100. And so they say that a score between 0 and 33 would indicate irrelevant or low quality content, while a score of 34 to 66 would represent decent quality and relevance. And lastly, a score between 67 and 100 would indicate good quality and relevance. So of course, we're trying to create content. Obviously, you want to be in this range. So they're creating the score based on a few variables, but mainly if you just understand how to do on-page SEO, this will all make a lot of sense. And I'll actually have a link to my on-page SEO checklist video in the description box. But for now, it's really important to just place your keywords in the most important spots. So that's going to be your title, your H1. You're going to want to mention the keyword a few times throughout the copy. And most importantly, you're going to want to use variations of your keyword as well. And they actually call this NLP, which stands for natural language processing, but you don't need to really know how that works. You just need to really understand that Google is not just looking at the single keyword variation that you're using or the one that you want to rank for. It's also looking at all of the other variations that are showing up on that page as well. So you want to get those on your page as well. And so here's a very important point that you need to understand, where it says that one content score evaluates a page in the context of one keyword. And so when you're using their SERP Analyzer tool, it's really just showing you the scores for that specific keyword. And so if you put any variation, it's going to give you a different score. So you need to put the exact keyword that you want to actually rank for in there, and the primary keyword that you want to optimize that page for. And I'll show you in a second how that works. So let me just go through a few other examples here, but let me show you how this works from a practical perspective. So I recommend using the SERP Analyzer tool in this case, and just go ahead and put whatever your primary keyword is in here and then do create a query. And then I'm going to go to the first one that I did, which is for backlinks. And so Gotcha SEO has a blog post dedicated to backlinks. And I wanted to show you this example because it gives a really good reason why Gotcha SEO is not ranking where it should be or where I want it to be for this particular keyword. So prior to the last, maybe 6 months, this keyword did exceptionally well, but recently it's fallen off, and there is a very specific reason for that, and it makes perfect sense. So let me show you. I'm not going to go through how to use a SERP Analyzer. We just really want to focus on this new content score metric. So when we look through this, there are two things we want to look at. First, we want to look at the actual content score that they're giving. So like I said, this score is just generated based on how well that page is optimized for the exact keyword that you put in here. So in this case, backlinks is the exact keyword that I put in there. So as you can see, most of the pages here are optimized pretty well. They're not perfect, but they're doing pretty well. And the other thing they have is a domain score, which you need to be looking at both of these because this is going to give you an indication of what direction you need to go. So in this case, we see that the domain score is very high for this particular keyword. So almost every domain that's ranking is very, very strong. And so we go down the list, every single domain has a domain score above 8, which a similar metric could also be Ahrefs' DR, which is domain rating, or even Moz's domain authority rating, which is DA. So you can use those too, but in this case, it's nice to have this all natively here so you can compare that against the actual content score. So when we go down to Gotcha SEO's listing, we'll see that we're number 10. And we by far have the best content score out of everything that's ranking. So in theory, if this was a perfect world, which it isn't, especially when it comes to Google SEO, the best content should win. But in this case, the best content does not win based on this criteria because Gotcha SEO has a weaker domain than everything else that is ranking. And we know that Google is very weighted for website authority and backlinks. That's the number one factor for performing well. So I know by looking at this that we're going to have diminishing returns improving this content score. So we're at a 94, we're better than all the competitors. Going up to 100 isn't going to push us up all the way to the top. So the one thing that's going to push us up is we need to get this number, this domain score, up to at least an 8, maybe even a 9, if we really want to rank for this keyword long term. And so that's really the beauty of this metric, is you can cross-check and see, where you're lacking. And so in this case, we know that we're lacking on the backlink profile front. So then the bulk of our effort should be spent on acquiring backlinks. So then let's take a look at another one. This is actually for paper rater, which is a navigational keyword that we actually rank for. And you'll see that as we go down here, Gotcha SEO is actually sitting number 3 for this one. And so this one's fascinating because clearly we have probably the best piece of content for this particular keyword phrase. There's one down here that's actually doing really well at an 88, but overall, probably diminishing returns once you get up this high. So really at this point, it's going to be a matter of link building. And so right now we can tell that we're sitting at number 3 despite having better content and a stronger domain compared to this particular website. So there could be a few reasons for this why we're not ranking well. First, it could be that we just need maybe 1 or 2 more backlinks and then we'll push above. It could also be that, it could just be a day where we fluctuated between 2 and 3. But it could also be because of topical relevance. So maybe Gotcha SEO isn't as topically relevant for this keyword, while this website, review writing, which probably is more topically relevant overall, is going to outrank us just for that reason alone. So that's why it's important to not always just look at these metrics, but also you have to think through these things, because in a lot of cases, you just don't have the topical relevance to be ranking for some keywords. And the way to combat that is you need to build out clusters. So if I really wanted to dominate for this keyword and all the variations and the various keywords that relate to it, I would want to build out clusters. So I'd want to talk about writing and talk about the tools that you would use for writing. And in particular, I'd want to talk about blogging and things that are related in that topic cluster, because then that's going to improve the overall topical relevance of this particular URL of mine. But in this case, if I'm looking at trying to get to the number 2 spot, I probably wouldn't build out a bunch of clusters just because my site is so much stronger than the one ahead of me. So in this case, I'd probably just acquire a really good link to this page, and that should be more than enough to get me in the spot that I want to get to. Now, I likely will not be able to outrank the actual navigational keyword here for the brand, just because that's very, very difficult. That'd be like trying to outrank Gotcha SEO on your own domain. So not very likely, but going up from number 3 to number 2 can have a huge impact on organic CTR, which then is the fastest way to increase traffic. So if you have a situation like this, I would highly recommend trying to push that up to the next spot. So next one I'm going to show you is for Google Bias, which is just a case study we did where we examined 50 key politically driven results just to see if Google is actually biased. But this is also another great example of a page that has a superior content score to everything else that exists relative to these. Now, of course, 77, there's a lot of room for improvement there, but relative to what's ranking, it's far ahead. And then we look at the actual domain score, and clearly it makes sense that we're not beating Google for this particular keyword phrase. Now, it is certainly possible because this is on a subdomain on Google. It's not the direct, powerful root domain, but it's still going to be pretty difficult to push above these just because I am talking about Google itself, and this is of course Google, so that is their brand. Therefore, it's going to be very difficult for me to push above. Not impossible, but difficult. So this is really what is cool about this metric, is you can just do this cross-checking and you can basically come to many conclusions. Like right here, I'm sitting number 3. I'm probably pretty happy with that position at this point. If I go higher, that's even better. But in this case, this is probably where I'm going to end up unless I get a ton of more backlinks to this page. But in this case, just based on this situation, I could, of course, make this content score better, but you have to always think about the time investment and whether or not there are going to be diminishing returns. So you have to always consider that when you're doing SEO. So anyway, I'm super excited about this metric here, and I really think it can help you guys a ton with just not only improving your existing content, but also just qualifying keywords. That's really what makes it cool, because you can just literally look at these keywords and let's just say maybe I wasn't on here. You can see like, can you actually compete for your keyword? Look at the content scores. If all the content scores are really high, you know that you're going to have to produce a high caliber piece of content that's extremely well optimized. And in some cases that may be all it takes, but if you see it has a high content score, you see it has all the pages that are ranking come from extremely powerful domains, then it might be a keyword you don't want to go after. So in a perfect situation, we'd want to see a KPI layout that looks more like this. So, we're looking at pages that have low content scores, really bad content scores in some cases, and then also weak domains or even moderately strong domains. Like, this is what I'm looking for. This is where I want to be spending my time and effort, because I'm going to get the best return on my investment by going after these keywords instead of trying to dump a bunch of money trying to rank for these monstrosity of keywords where you may not even actually ever rank until, maybe 5-10 years by the time you get enough authority to actually compete. So this is where you should live, and you can use Surfer to make sure that you're going after keywords that you can actually win and compete on. So that's all I have for you today. I'm super excited about this content score, and I'll probably be talking about it a lot here in the near future. But if you guys want to give it a try, I'll have a link in the description, and you can sign up for a trial for Surfer. So that's all I have for you today. I'll talk to you guys soon.